Welcome to the Beyond the Horizons podcast, where we delve into and expand upon some of the key issues raised in the Enable 2024 MSP Horizons report, produced in conjunction with Canalys. According to the report, over the next 3 years, the fastest growing MSPs will be the ones investing in skills around cybersecurity and cloud infrastructure management, with one of the most in-demand security solutions being MDR. In this episode, we talk to our Chief Security Officer, Dave MacKinnon, about why MDR is so important for MSPs. So let's start at the beginning, which is, so what is MDR exactly, and how does it differ from some of the other technologies that are in the market?
Sure. So first, thanks for having me. So I think that the biggest difference when you talk about MDR versus whether you're talking about like managed EDR or MSSP space is the R. So it's the response. So it's not just doing the detection; it's also working all the way through that life cycle to work on containing risks within your business as quickly as possible, which is ultimately what you want to do. Like from a business continuity perspective, is make sure that your business is protected as fast as possible. So it's kind of a conglomeration of services. It's been an evolution of where we've gone over the last few years, but to the point now where we're doing active response to protect your business proactively.
And I think one of the things that certainly I find confusing is the fact that there seems to be a number of marketing terms that come up. So we've got EDR, we've got MDR, we've got XDR. How does this? I mean, is it a genuine thing, or is it sort of another marketing spin?
Well, I always call it buzzword bingo. Like everybody kind of picks a term, whether you're talking about like AI or next gen something or threat something. This is the evolution of what I think MSSPs have evolved into. So, they started where they would effectively do monitoring and say, okay, I see event X occurring in your environment. Now it's evolved to the point now where they're integrating with your strategic technologies. They have the ability to apply controls in a very regimented manner to protect your business. And that's really where you've seen the evolution of that space move over the last few years. In terms of name, I don't know, names are always going to change, but what I more look at is what is that doing for your business? How is it protecting your business in an effective manner for the things that you're most concerned about? So when you're talking about MDR, it's managed detection and response. So it's got the detection and the response, and the response is equally, if not more important, versus just the detection piece.
And so I suppose we've probably answered bits of this already, but really to draw that together. So why do MSPs need MDR, and what are some of the core benefits that this sort of this new advance, if you like, in the technology actually brings to them?
Sure. So for me, it's twofold. So part of it is expertise. MSPs are all different levels in terms of maturity, especially as it comes to security and what they have the capability of delivering. So if you're an MSP who's looking at, whether it be identity information or EDR information or firewall information or all these different disparate data sources, are you actively monitoring that? Are you pulling that all into a centralized system where you have visibility across all of your customer base? Do you have the expertise to analyze those events, to understand what's occurring in each of those customer environments to detect, is there a threat? And then to add on to that, are you doing it 24/7? And then to add on to that, when you find something, are you proactively adding or making changes to the environment to protect that customer? So from an MSP perspective, I think it's an ideal opportunity for them to help better protect their customers. One of the things I look at when we talk about security in general is like security, it's all about risk. And ultimately it's about business resiliency. So how do you transform your MSP's offering to generate something that ensures resiliency for your customer? And security is a critical piece of that in terms of how we would keep those customers safe, secure, and minimize the impact of any security events that are occurring in those environments.
And I think so. One of the things that I kind of understand from this is that it's a much more cost-effective solution. Certainly, when you start to look at it in terms of if you were going to build out a SOC or something like that.
Gotcha.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is a much more cost-effective way for MSPs really to kind of lift themselves to that level of protection.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I built SOCs before where we're doing 24/7 operations globally. I mean, there's a whole slew of challenges that come with that from, from a people perspective, hiring the right people, you have to retain them, you have to train them. Depending upon how you're following the sun, you have to put people, whether you're doing like Asia, then Europe, then the US, or are you going to have people doing overnight shifts, in one location, to the technology investments. You have to have multi-tenancy. You need to make sure that you can pull in all this data, to the actual analysis. So it's a highly complex set of systems to put together out. And I will tell you, like, even just my previous teams, we're not talking 10 or 20 people, we're talking 50, 100 plus people, to really build out services like that. It's a very difficult thing to build. I mean, it's going to take a long time. It's not you just flip a switch and you turn it on. So it's a fast, effective way, and also a cost-effective way for MSPs to evolve into that offering to help protect their customers more effectively without them taking on the burden of having to build out all this infrastructure to support it.
So I mean, obviously, so from that perspective, it's a kind of it's a logical step, I suppose, for a lot of MSPs to be looking at today. So, what are the key things that MSPs need to be looking for? Because obviously, there's a lot of MDR technologies out there. What are some of the things that they need to be making sure they've got covered, and also some of the things they need to kind of weed out as they go through the process?
Yeah, so I think the first and probably the most important is technology selection. Does the provider you're integrating with take in the technology that you're investing in or your customers are invested in? If they don't support your EDR or your firewall or whatever identity system you're using or some other cloud SaaS application, if they don't have support for it, then you're not going to get any value out of it. So I think that for me is probably first and foremost. I think the second is how effective are they at the threat detections? Like, do they have a proven track record of being able to detect threats and proactively identify those things? I mean, it's kind of getting into the secret sauce of what makes them unique. And then the third is getting really into the R. And I would, we internally talk about it as like the capital R in terms of response. So what response capabilities do they have? And then do those response capabilities integrate again into the same technologies that you originally started with? So it's great to say, hey, if I have a user who fell for a phishing email and I'm worried about their account, well, if you can't lock out that account and force an account reset or whatever your response steps need to be. If the R doesn't do that, then the R isn't adding any value to your business. So it's making sure that it kind of comes full circle for that organization to support all the different aspects, in an effective manner.
And I suppose, obviously, off the back of that, I suppose the big question is for a lot of MSPs is like, how do they encapsulate the benefits that this solution brings? Actually, encapsulate that and explain that to their customers, their end users.
Yeah, so I think it comes down to resiliency. I ultimately, if you think about security, everybody has this view of security as like they're the yes or the no people. Like, well, we asked security if we could do it, and they said no, or they said yes. But the reality is, security is a risk business. We understand the risk that a decision could introduce, and we help inform the business on what risks we want to mitigate. MDR falls in that same bucket. So when we talk about ensuring that your customers are resilient, it's understanding, hey, what are their critical systems? Are those critical systems being monitored by the MSP? Probably. You're probably monitoring the health and the wellness of those critical file servers, or whatever it is for that specific business. But then how do you make sure that you're also monitoring the security of that? How long can that business effectively be without that critical asset? Can it be? We oftentimes talk about extinction events. Like, if I lost, and I'll pick a dentist's office. If I lost my X-ray machine, how long can that business thrive without X-rays? Like, every time I go to the dentist, I, for the most part, get X-rays. So if they can't do X-rays for a day, a week, a month, like, how long can that business sustain? If they can't book patient appointments, how long can they do that? So that's where that resiliency piece is absolutely critical. Understanding the criticality of the business. How quickly does the business be able to recover from various types of threats? Cyber being one of them. I mean, you could have a hardware failure where you want to make sure you can restore, but that to me is really the ultimate narrative of what MSPs, I hope, are talking to their customers about. It's understanding what their business risk is, and then how do we introduce solutions to minimize those risks? Because what you don't want to do is wait till that risk is observed and then throw money at it, because you're going to throw an exponential amount of money more. Often that's the sad reality, like especially when you're talking about security. It's like, well, it's never going to happen to me. Then you have a cyber incident and you get the bill for $50,000, $100,000 or more for forensics and for all the other recovery work, and that's an unexpected business expense that you can help to reduce the risk of that occurring by making strategic investments to protect your business. That's how I look at it from a resiliency perspective, and really helping that business to prepare for, something will happen, but when something happens, we have all the right controls in place to protect the organization versus trying to figure it out on the fly.
I suppose really a final question, I suppose, to round this up. I mean, do you see there's is there a stepped process to implementing MDR, or is it just a sort of like switch it on and off?
So it's really just switch it on. You have the investment in all the technology, or I don't want to say definitively. You likely have the investment in all the technologies that you need to protect. I mean, identity systems everybody has. EDR is the de facto standard now. Everybody, for the most part, everybody has moved to EDR on all of their endpoints. Firewalls, all of your customers have firewalls that you're actually monitoring. It then comes down to, are you actually doing the monitoring of that? It's kind of like a home alarm. Like I have an alarm in my house. If nobody's actually monitoring if somebody breaks in, do you know if somebody's broken in or not? It's the next logical step to continue to protect that business, to ensure that they stay resilient. Ultimately, when we talk about with Enable, like as our customers grow, we grow. Well, as our MSP's customers grow, the MSP grows and we grow. So the intent there is to make sure that we're keeping those end users as protected as possible, so their businesses continue to thrive.